I'm doing the second task for the GRIPS internship from the Sparks Foundation. It is the prediction using the unsupervised machine learning. The problem statement given is to predict the optimum number of clusters and represent it visually from the given iris dataset. Firstly, I'm importing the required libraries, namely NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, and sklearn. Then I'm reading the dataset from the source. This is the form of our data. This is the shape of our data, 150 rows and 6 columns. We are checking whether any none values are there in our data, which is no. Then we are finding some properties of our data. There are 150 entries and 6 columns, and these are the data types. Some statistical properties, the mean, the standard deviation, and the percentiles of the data. Now we drop the columns, species, and ID, which we won't require for the clustering, and prepare the data, and so that these 4 columns are present only. Then, since clustering is sensitive with outliers are needed to be removed. So we check for outliers using box plot. We see that only sepal width has some outliers. We need to remove that. We do that using the interquartile range method. And plot the box plot again. We see there are no outliers anymore. Now we go on to the k-means clustering method. We do it by using the elbow plot firstly, and we arrange the data, and we initialize the k-means and create several cluster combinations and observe the within cluster sum of squares. And print the values. So our values are like this, and we go on to plot the values in the elbow plot, which comes like this, and we see there is a formation of elbow till the third point. We get an elbow, so we can predict from here that the optimum value for the number of clusters should be 3. If there is some ambiguity, so we move on to make it sure by using a Silhouette plot. Firstly, we initialize the k-means. Then we import the Silhouette visualizer to plot the Silhouette plots. I have plotted the Silhouette for 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters. It comes like this. So here it shows that for 4th and 4 clusters and 5 clusters, most of the points are below the average Silhouette line. So it is not a very good choice. Also, the thickness of the clusters are quite varying. They are not same. So 4 and 5 are not good choice. Now for deciding within 2 and 3, we see that in the second, in 2 clusters case, the thickness of the Silhouette plot, the second cluster is quite thicker than the first. So the thickness is not uniform, while in the 3 clusters case, the thickness is quite uniform. Also, there are values for all the clusters above the average Silhouette score. So from here, we also decide that the best value for the number of clusters should be 3. Also, we plot the Silhouette scores in a graph, and we observe that the value for 3 is coming to be maximum, which is the optimum value. So from here we can say that combining the above two plots, the fill out method also shows us that the optimum value of k is 3. So we choose the value to be 3. Now we visualize the clusters using the k-means classifier, and we plot the clusters for the first two columns of the data, and also we plot the centroids along with it. So it comes out to be like this, the three clusters along with the centroids. Then we visualize the clusters for the next two columns, the third and the fourth columns, along with the centroids, which is in this form. So this is the representation, visual representation of our clusters. Hence we have predicted the optimum number of clusters, which is coming out to be 3, and represented it visually. Thank you.